Ever since the consecration of Ram temple in Ayodhya, people were wondering where the next temple mosque issue will come. And it was expected that it will come in Mathura and Kashi, especially in the Gyanvapi mosque. And it indeed came. But unexpectedly, it has come to Tamil Nadu also. Nobody expected south of the Vindhyas will have the same narrative and same Hindu Muslim temple versus mosque issue. But surprisingly, it has come up and it has come up in Tamil Nadu. In this video, we'll see why. This is Youturn. I'm Ramasamy Jayaprakash. In the Ramanathapuram district of Tamil Nadu, there is a place called Keelakkarai. In Keelakkarai, there is a mosque which was built in the 17th century, and the right-wing outfits such as Hindu Munnani and Hindu Makkal Katchi are claiming that this mosque used to be a temple before. They are using the pictures of the mosque and they are saying, like, look at these pictures. Does this look like a mosque? This from every angle looks like a temple. So this is the narrative that they are setting now, and in one such post they even tagged Youturn. Why they are tagging us is because we have written an article in 2019 explaining that this is a mosque, this is not a temple, because this narrative has been going on for quite some time in bits and pieces. Now it is kind of like getting mainstream. And since 2019, whenever this issue has been raked up, we were pointing out that this is a mosque. We were sharing our old article and claiming that this is a mosque. So they are tagging us and they are saying that we are going to the High Court. We will go to the court to get the ASI survey done. Archaeological Survey of India should come to this mosque. They should conduct a survey and tell what the truth is. Filing a case and all that is their business. Let them do what they want. Let's come to the history of this mosque. This mosque was built by a person called Keelakkarai. Keelakkarai lived from 1650 to 1720 and he was very close to then Ramanathapuram king, Kelavan Sethupathi. He was very close to that person, and there are some accounts which state that he was a minister in Kelavan Sethupathi's cabinet. There are also accounts that state he was very close to Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb and he was the governor of Bengal. And he was also a businessman. He was quite wealthy and he constructed this mosque with the help of Kelavan Sethupathi. This is the stated history of this mosque. And coming to the structure of the mosque, this was built with the Dravidian architecture. And this Dravidian architecture is a style of architecture. This could be used for constructing anything, and mostly it has been used for temples and in some cases mosques also. Why do I say some cases? Because there are many mosques that were built using the Dravidian architecture with a lot of stones. And these have a specific name. Stone in Tamil is called Kal and mosque is called Pallivasal. So the mosques which were built using this architecture and using stones are called Kallupallis. There are many Kallupalli in Tamil Nadu, and one such Kallupalli exists even in Trichy. This was built in 8th century. Even in Ramanathapuram, there is another Kallupalli that was built in 12th and 13th century, and it is very close to Keelakkarai. It is in a place called Periyapattinam, which is very close to Keelakkarai. So that is how the state of mosques in Tamil Nadu is. There are some mosques which were built using Dravidian architecture. Just because it used a style of architecture, that does not mean this was a temple and it got converted into a mosque. There is a place called Tirupallani, again in Ramanathapuram district, very close to Keelakkarai. In Tirupallani, there is a temple called Adi Jagannath Perumal Koil. In that temple, there is an inscription that belongs to Maravarman Sundarapandiyan II. This inscription from 1247 AD states that the king Maravarman Sundarapandiyan II donated money to build mosques. So such is the kind of history that has been in Tamil Nadu, and it is not the same with the north of India. There are some distinctions regarding temple construction or mosque construction from north of India to south of India, and even for that matter how Islam came. In the northern part of India, Islam came mostly through invasion, and this invasion was done by Mughal rulers and also previous other Muslim dynasty rulers. So that is how predominantly Islam came to the northern part of India. Although that applies to south of India also to some extent, the origin story is slightly different. The origin story of Islam in South India is through trade. It came to Kerala and some parts of Tamil Nadu through trade, and that is how it spread initially. After that, there have been some instances of Mughal rulers establishing their rule in southern part of India that could have accelerated the growth of Islam in southern part of India, but that is not how it originally came. So this distinction needs to be understood to understand how this temple could have been built with support of Hindu kings and how some of this Kallupalli could date to 8th century. So such is the kind of history one should understand, and also a question arises. There is a law called Places of Worship Act 1991, and this law states that we have to let the religious places, the place where temple or mosque or whatever is there, any kind of religious place is there, however it existed in August 15, 1947, it should be left as it is. We should not touch them. And this particular law has an exception for the Ram Janmabhoomi issue and Babri Masjid issue. Apart from that, this law states do not touch the religious places. When calls for Gyanvapi or now Keelakkarai Mosque in Ramanathapuram are coming up, what is the agenda? What is the idea? Is this not violation of the law? Also, we have to wonder why they are asking for this. Why this is being done? Is this being done because every place of worship should be restored to how it used to be in the past? So, this question is very intriguing because what is the cutoff period to determine how it should be converted to how it was before? And does this apply to the whole of India? And should it be extrapolated and applied to the whole world? That is a pertinent question. We have to ask this question because gods and religions have kept changing over the years. And the gods that we had 2000 or 3000 years ago are nowhere to be found today. The gods that we had 5000 years ago, we don't even know such gods to have existed today. And the same applies for religion also. Some religions that existed 5000 years ago or 6000 years ago do not even exist today. So, if we are restoring, should we restore to that also? Because there are lot of evidence that state that a lot of temples that exist today used to be Buddhist vihars before. And in Tamil Nadu, several Buddhist vihars and Jain temples have been converted into Shiva and Vishnu temples because there was a big issue like how Hindu-Muslim war is being fought today. It was multiple times worse back then. People who followed Jainism were killed and massacred, and that's how Jainism in Tamil Nadu was wiped out. And the Jain temples were converted into Shiva or Vishnu temples or some other deities, temples of some other deities. That's how Jainism was wiped out. So should we do that also? Should we bring back those temples to that previous form? And should we bring back Buddhist vihars which have been converted into temples? Where do we draw the line? Where do we put this cutoff? Does this apply only to the Mughal rule, or does this apply to the non-Mughal or non-Muslim rulers also? Where do we draw this line? Asking all these questions are important because to understand that the actual intent is not bringing back how the places of worship used to be before, we have to bring it back. That is not the actual intent. The intent is alienation of Muslims and subjugation of Muslims. It is a political narrative and it is a political ideology. This Hindutva ideology has manifested into various forms, and some of these forms even claim Muslims should be exterminated or Muslims should be wiped out of the country, and some manifestations of this ideology also state everybody who is a Muslim is a non-Indian and they should be sent out of the country. They do not even understand the fact that they are also Indians and they are also our fellow people. They are also our brothers and sisters. They have equal right to stay in the country. The Hindutva groups have made people believe that somehow all the Muslims in the country are direct descendants of Mughals and other Islamic invaders. But that is simply not true, because most of these people are our own people, our own brothers and sisters whose ancestors have converted. They would have converted voluntarily or some might have converted forcefully, but they all are blood. And They are our people too. Only a small tiny minority of the people could be the direct descendants of the Mughals, but most other people are own blood and our own people who follow a different religion. Even if you consider every single Muslim is a direct descendant of the Mughals, even in that case they have been living in our country for several centuries now, and they should automatically become one of us, because that is how modern democracies work and that is how rule of law works. If Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister of England, can become a British citizen and become the Prime Minister, and Kamala Harris can become the Vice President of US, why can't Muslims in India become our fellow citizens, our own fellow people? When I say this, don't bring out examples from the past where some Muslim individuals have come to the top posts in India. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that Kamala Harris or Rishi Sunak can be considered as American citizen or British citizen, and they have the acceptance of the people, the majority of the people. But somehow we have come to a point in our Indian history where a Muslim is no longer accepted as an Indian. That is how we have come. There are people who call for genocide of Muslims, and there are people who call for rape of Muslim women, and this come from the Hindutva brigade, and this Hindutva brigade people who call for these horrible things are in some cases even priests. These religious people and religious figureheads, they call for such horrible things to happen to Muslims. All this is a fascist ideology. Because why this is a fascist ideology, we have to consider what happened in Germany. In Germany, people were taught, people were made to believe that anything and everything that is wrong with Germany is because of the Jews, and they are not true Aryan blood. They are not true Germans. To be a true Aryan, they have to not do business with the Jews. They have to not be friendly with the Jews. They have to not give property for rent to the Jews. They have to not mingle or engage with the Jews in any way or form. They have to be subjugated and they have to be cast aside. The same thing is happening in India. There are many people from the BJP who are MLAs and MPs who call for the Muslim boycott. And in the current political discourse of India, there are various jihads that are being talked about in the country. And that is not limited just to love jihad. Now there are land jihad, business jihad, this jihad, that jihad. Anything and everything is called jihad now. And any aspect of human life that a Muslim does, it is being termed as jihad and spread in the minds of the people by a certain group of people. Certain elements do this to instill hatred in the minds of Hindus and to make them actively hate Muslims. There is a historical, cultural and religious divide between Hindus and Muslims in the country. Instead of trying to bridge these gaps, instead of trying to bring the people together, there is this group of people who follow this ideology, who actively work to make the divide wider and wider. Looking at how things have turned out, they have successfully severed the ties, severed the connections with the two communities. They are no longer in unison. When calls for extermination of Muslims and genocide of Muslims and rape of Muslim women come, there is no outrage from the Hindu people saying, how can you say this? Because that connect is no longer there. We do not have that connection anymore. Our job is to bridge those gaps and somehow bring people together. And we have to actively disengage and even eliminate from the political discourse these kinds of ideas that instill hatred in us. Thank you.